the only way to beat bad ideas is the good ideas. We've heard that concept over and over again. And I think that's right. I'm not saying that the idea is wrong. I don't think it is wrong. But the interesting thing about this is it's a very interesting concept to delve into, because really when you look at the complexity, quote unquote, of all the luxury beliefs that are out there, whether it's defund the police or marriage sucks or men suck or women suck, like whatever it's going to be. The answer to all of them is simple. Just don't comply. Say no. Don't do them. Say, go screw off. That's all you got to say. The answer to luxury beliefs is to simply not participate in the game, which you can do, by the way. I know it's a lot of cultural reinforcement around it, but the best thing you can do inside of your company, inside of your town, inside of your city, inside of your politics, inside of everything you can do, if something does not smell right, if something smells like a luxury belief to you that conveys elitism, which is all stalling out in midair, thankfully, for the most part, just don't comply. Like, say that's ridiculous. Say that that's stupid. Say no. Do not do that. These people cannot make you do anything. Our elites, quote unquote, cannot make you do anything. Our ruling class, quote unquote, cannot make you do anything. So the answer to luxury beliefs and this kind of faux pas and fraudulent elitism that we're seeing now is bravery and it's courage, because bravery and courage are the solution to almost all moral issues, of which luxury beliefs are the most pernicious. They are the most pernicious anti-morality issues of our day and age, easily, by a long mile. So when anyone tries to overreach and or invade your life in any way that is remotely totalitarian, you have a moral obligation to say no and tell them to shove it. And you should tell them to shove it, because what else are you going to do? What else are you going to do? And we saw this so often inside of our world in the last several years. We once had vaccine cards, and I'm not all anti-vax. I really don't know. I think about a lot of vaccines, but we had a show me your papers moment inside of our society. Like the Nazis did that. Like, that's kind of crazy. And I'm not saying that all people in government are Nazis, but I'm saying that's kind of whoa, that's kind of a weird thing to do. So whenever you get something that is off base from your values, you have no obligation, you have no right, you have no reason to participate in that thing. And this is going to probably be I'm going to get a lot of pushback on this, because a lot of people are saying I need to do this to keep my job. I need to do this to do this. I need to do this to make my wife happy. It's like, well, sure, to keep your job, to make your wife happy, to do whatever, but at the expense of what? At the expense of what? If it's at the expense of your values, you have no obligation to do the thing that people are saying that you're doing, whether it's, again, like all these stupid, get the vax, eat the bugs, get the chip in the brain, shut up. Like all these things are just wild, bananas, ridiculous things. And so you can never, this is maybe some encouragement to you, never let anybody prevent you from speaking the truth and embodying your values. Never let that happen. Ever, 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 ever let that happen. And I want to explain the benefit of this, because bravery, I was actually watching this, I don't know if this is John Delaney, who I don't really know much about at all, but I was watching a Dave Ramsey clip, and Dave Ramsey, I think, was getting interviewed by Ken Coleman, who I also don't know, but I heard a lot of people like Ken Coleman, so if you like Ken Coleman, comment down below. But I was watching Dave Ramsey talk to Ken Coleman, and I think Ken said, and I have no data right in front of me for this, but this kind of just coming to me in the time, but Ken Coleman said to Dave Ramsey, apparently above 60% of Americans want to be self-employed, but yet I believe the number's 9% actually are self-employed. And he asked him what the gap was, because that's a huge percent. That's 50% of America. If we're taking the 60% number as accurate and the 9% is accurate from people who want to be self-employed versus are who getting self-employed, that means, what is that? 82% of the people that want to versus the people that are actually do the thing that they want to do. And Dave Ramsey said the right answer. And I know it's the right answer because I've done this. And the right answer as to why the vast majority of people who want to be self-employed are not self-employed is because of fear. It's because of fear, which, again, going back to the courage and the bravery point, it is the same thing. Courage and bravery are the delineating factors into who acts out their morality, who acts out their set of values versus who doesn't. That is the neat and skinny of it. That is the facts of the problem. So I want to maybe say let's just chart two paths here. So I want to articulate what happens from my experience when you act upon your bravery versus when you act on your cowardice. Because I've done both a lot of times. And I've probably been more of a coward than I have been brave. Actually, I know that I have, because I've abandoned a lot of things that I haven't done. But what I've noticed, I actually just noticed this last weekend, I in my personal life, not necessarily in my business, but in my business certainly, my career certainly, but in my personal life too. I want to talk about what happens and what has happened to me when I have chosen bravery and being a brave person versus being a coward and succumbing to cowardice and being a cowardly person. So what happens almost ubiquitously, and I've talked to a lot of people about this. I've been curious about the psychology of brave people and the people who go out and take risks and do whatever. Like, we've talked about a lot about them in the show, and they're the people that, not coincidentally change the world. And so I've been like, what is that? So I've really looked into that quite a bit. And what happens if you become brave and if you decide to be braver and more courageous in every area of your life is that you'll get stronger. Because I believe the biggest precursor to strength is bravery. It is hard to step inside of a gym when you have not been in the gym for 5 years or ever. Like, I think I go to a great boxing gym here called Archetype Boxing Club. I'm actually, my Tumblr, shout out to Archetype Boxing Club. They were really my first community that I really spent with in Austin, Texas. I've been over there for 3.5 years and I still love it. I was there this morning, actually. And so what was really mind-blowing about my boxing gym when I learned about it and learned more about kind of the people that go there, because I work out with mostly wonderful people. Like, I love the people that go there. And I was talking to one of my coaches once, and he told me something that really blew my mind. He's like, Sam, a lot of the people that come in here have never been to a gym in their entire life. And I said, what? And I said, like, there's no way. There's no way. And he's like, yeah, a lot of people have never been in a gym. And I'm like, so they come in a gym where they get punches thrown at them, and that's the first experience in a gym? And he said, yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, that's bravery. Bravery is taking a step into a gym when you have never been in a gym, when you have never consistently worked out in your entire life. And by the way, all of those folks, all of those people that have done that, wildly successful in terms of the improvements inside of their fitness. It's amazing to see. It's amazing. People who have lost 40 pounds in the span of 2 months, who have improved their lifespan probably by decades in terms of doing that, like just completely different people from walking in there versus maybe not walking in there if they succumb to their fear. And so you notice this across all areas. And if you become brave, you become braver in all other areas of your life. You might find yourself, if you do one thing, let's just say your fitness, because we're on that topic, you might be more compelled to ask for a raise inside of your work. You might be compelled, as I was, this is what happened to me last week, I went up to a woman in my church and I asked her out. I would have never done that a couple of years ago. I would have been terrified to do that, probably a couple of months ago, to be honest with you. But I have become braver, if I can say so, and I'm saying this out of humility because I was such a coward for the longest time. That's why my life sucked. And that's why your life probably sucks, by the way. It's a word for you. If you need to, if you're thinking like, oh, my life sucks, be braver. Your life will get better. So I was such a coward for the longest time, but then, I started becoming braver and I started, really being aggressive with what I wanted and how I wanted to run my life and conduct myself and do all those things. And it ended up helping quite a bit. And I was able to really, really make a lot of strides. And so the end goal of this, and what I really want to drive home here, is when you become braver and when you take more risks, when you speak up for what you believe in, when you go for and seek what you want, you will give yourself more shots to get what you want. So again, this is not the law of attraction, the secret, all that demonic stuff that people talk about all the time. It's not that, because the law of attraction is bullshit. It's not real. A manifestation is bullshit. It's not real. But I think the law of attraction, what that actually is in practicality and in actuality and reality, it's just you being a brave person. It's you simply not being fearful anymore. And you stepping out in boldness and saying, hey, I want this. I want to go for that job. I want to go for that promotion. I want to go for that raise. I want to start that business. I want to ask that girl out. I want to do this. I want to do that. And you act upon it. Like don't just my friend Afiz Bayoku has been a good friend of mine for a very long time now. He says all the time, be serious. Don't be curious. Be serious and not curious. I say that to myself all the time. Like that phrase changed my life when I first heard it. I was like, wow. Like that's it. The line between the successful people in any area of life and the unsuccessful people is seriousness or curiousness. That is the differentiator. That is the line in the sand. And so then on the contrary, to paint more of a hell picture opposite of that heaven, because that's what we do here on the show, is what happens if you don't become braver, if you don't stand for your values, if you don't go for enforcing your values inside of your life, is that the opposite happen. And the opposite of strength, obviously, is weakness, because cowardice is a precursor to weakness. Every weak person in their heart, in their soul, is a coward. Every single one of them is a coward. And I say that out of love. I don't say that to demean people, but I say that to be honest, because I genuinely believe that. Every weak person at their core is a coward first. If you don't put yourself out there, if you don't actively seek what you want, if you don't make yourself, if you become curious over becoming serious, you will end up living a life completely dictated by the whims of other people. Completely dictated by them. You will have no chance at all. At all. And so that's about the worst way to live that I can ever possibly imagine, at least for me, because I am independent almost to a fault. And I say that not as a compliment. I've bitten myself in the ass more times doing that than I can count. But at the end of the day, if I'm proud of myself for one thing, it's that I have lived my life completely dictated by my values ever since I started on this journey about 6 years ago now. And the opposite of that, what I know for a fact is the opposite of that, where you do not express your values at all, where you don't go for anything, where you don't have something in your back pocket that you can say, this is my dividing line and I will stand for this. You're a slave, man. You're a slave, and that's a strong word, but it's the worst way to live that I could possibly imagine. But yet most people, and if I can say, I bet a lot of you feel like you're living this way. You probably feel like you're living this way. And the thing is that you do not have to. You don't have to live that way. And I like to say all the time that you can, changing your life it's honestly not that hard. It's not that hard. It takes some hard decisions. And the decisions are probably the hardest part of all of this. Because decision making is only meant for brave people, by the way. That's a word for people out there too. So if you want to have a better life, make decisions based on your values. If you want to have a worse life, make decisions based on other people's values. That's the way that successful people do it. That is the way that successful people do it.